this is the full moon in Pisces. So it is the beginning of the spiritual new year, as some people call this time frame. And we're going to do a quick ritual for full moon manifestation harvesting ceremony. I was just saying I just got back from a camping trip here in Africa. Went and watched the sunset and then had a little fire by candlelight, and then I actually spent this full moon burning up some old stories, some stories that I used to tell about myself that don't resonate anymore. And the full moon is a great time if you have any stories that you have been telling about yourself. Like if you ever notice yourself in groups and you start to tell a story and you're like, this doesn't feel like me anymore. It's okay to literally write that story down and then shred it and throw it in the fire and get rid of it. Or just consciously notice when you start to tell these stories that no longer resonate. Give yourself permission to say, that's not really me anymore, and it's okay that I retire this story and take it out of your repertoire. And they give you stories about family. It could be stories about health. It can be stories about abundance or money. It can be stories about what we believe is possible for us. It can be stories about who you thought you were going to be or who you think you are, anything like that, because as we grow older, who we are changes. And as we do this inner work, it will manifest externally in ways that when you start talking about yourself or your beliefs, they may not resonate with the person that you have become because you've been doing the inner work and you've been changing and you've been manifesting, and you may still be using outdated stories or outdated self stories. So the full moon in Pisces is a great time to go ahead and get rid of any of that if that's what you've got. And as a reminder, during the full moon, you're going to want your 4 squares. This is a brand new one. You're going to want a 4 square. You fold it in half, and this is where you're going to reflect on your life squared. So if you're new to this, you might be using health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression to plant your intentions at the new moon. And then that's what you'd want to reflect on now during the full moon. Any micro manifestations, things that have happened in the last 2 weeks. And any macro manifestations, things that have happened in the last 6 months. So this is the full moon in Pisces, and what you're going to want to do is check your calendar and go back and find the new moon in Pisces. And whatever date that was in, I like to recommend that you check emails, you check DMs, you check text messages, letters, bank deposits, anything that you could go and check that might have been time-stamped. Go check that. I think even on listening stations, you can go back to Pandora, I know, and it'll say what you were last listening to or when you last listened to a station, just to kind of get into the vibration of where you were and note what has popped in your reality. I know for me 6 months ago, I was planning a big move to Africa and getting settled and hoping and planning and wishing and praying that in 6 months I would be settled enough to, on a whim, say, yeah, let's go on an overnight camping trip in the middle of nowhere, Africa, because I feel settled and I could do that. And when I look back at what I had planted 6 months ago and then what I'm currently living out, it's jarring. And it's like I was talking about at the beginning, where sometimes we can do this inner work and speed up so quickly and sync up with our new realities and our new ways of being that our stories about ourselves no longer match. And you might even notice this with people who you might be meeting in this time. If you've been doing this work for, let's just say 6 months. Let's just say you've been doing this about 6 months, maybe longer. You meet somebody new and you've known them a little bit and you start telling stories. Really? I never would have guessed. That doesn't sound like you. And we're not saying we're completely erasing our entire history and who we are and what makes us up. But some of these outdated models of being that no longer serve us, it's okay to just step into that new version. And the light of the full moon is going to help you do that. And so let's talk about the ritual for today. We crafted an angel altar. No, we didn't. We crafted a God box, a holy triangle, and a God box. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, you're going to want to go back to the Virgo new moon and get your holy triangle or your God box set up. and then come to this ritual, because what we're going to do for the Pisces full moon is an angel altar. I just got really excited. Okay, so the Pisces full moon. Get crafty. Can't go over it, can't go under it. You must go through it. So, are you ready to craft your way to universal co-creation? 2 weeks ago at the new moon, we downshifted into receiving mode in order to achieve our dreams. Now, a fortnight later, at the full moon in Pisces, we're being called to shift up and take massive guided action to draw our desires from the immaterial planes into our physical reality. Pisces is the 12th and final sign of the zodiac and rules the dream realm, our subconscious minds, and the space where the transition between this life and non-physical takes place. This month, our ritual focuses on bridging the gap between life here on Earth and the afterlife by creating a sigil or making an angel altar. The full moon in compassionate Pisces will illuminate feelings we've buried deep in our psyches, possibly bringing emotions like sadness, grief, and heartbreak to the surface. The beautiful part of this ritual is that what we're willing to reveal, we can truly heal at the core level. By honoring these deep and possibly painful feelings, rather than stepping over them or trying to duck under them, you're showing the universe that you're ready to move past any shadow of denial or pattern of avoidance you may feel comfortable hiding in. The world needs that bright light that only you can shine on this earth. And the full moon is here to help motivate you to deal so you can quickly heal and share your true self for real. So, with that, we are talking about angel altars. So, during the new moon in Virgo, we created a holy triangle and a God box, which are two things I like to keep on my angel altar. I have a couple, actually. I have an angel altar where I put my new moon manifestations and my kind of universal wish list. If you go back to the new moon in Virgo, we talked about the placemat process. Yeah, the placemat process. That's an Abraham Hicks technique. And you basically create 2 to-do lists on 1 sheet of paper. 10 things or a list of things that you can reasonably get done in 2 weeks' time, and a list of things that you would hope to get done, but you don't know the logical steps to complete it, so you're going to give it up to the universe. For example, I'm hiring somebody, and I'm really excited about this, but I know the practical steps that I need to do to put out the application, put out the post for the job. But to bring the right person, the perfect person, I'm leaving that up to the universe. So you keep that in your angel altar. In your holy triangle or in your God box if you created that. So that's like the kind of stuff that I like to put in there. I do the placement process, or like right now I'm giving thanks for a really beautiful gift that I received. I'm taking my kids to Disney because that is what my grandmother-in-law would have wanted us to do. So to honor her memory, that's what we're doing. But it can just be this little space where you give thanks, and you can also receive in that place, or you can ask for what you would like to receive. And that is one angel altar. I also have like a crystal altar. It's not necessarily a crystal altar. It's more just like a sacred space where I keep all of my crystals. And then, as I've shown in different videos, I grab a new crystal to manifest with at each phase of the moon cycle. It's also where I know to go to like charge my crystals. And it's just so they don't get kind of like scattered, and everything has its own place. And it's just, it gives special meaning to the things that we kind of accumulate. And so a crystal isn't just a rock. It's something that I imbued with power, or I imbued with meaning that gives me significance. So that's the importance of an angel altar. Sorry, I'm so scattered. I'm still thinking about the beautiful night that I had last night in front of a fireplace in Africa. And it really was like a living manifestation of something that I had written as a new moon intention 6 months ago. And I did take the time to like burn away these old stories and release the grief or the sadness or the outdatedness of whatever was holding me back. And it just feels different. I feel like I've stepped into a new chapter, and that's exciting. And I think that maybe is, if you're feeling excited for a new chapter, because there can be something comfortable about staying in an old book. You're like, oh, I know how this book goes. I like these chapters. It's like starting a new book sometimes. So if you're in that space, I'm sending you so much love and good vibes. And if you're moving into that space, I welcome you to it. But back to the angel altars. So again, I have one back here. I always light a candle when I have private sessions, and that's like where I put my other crystals that I'm using that month. I've got my Buddha back there holding down this is my abundance corner. Of all the corners in my home, this is my abundance corner, which if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's a Bagua ritual that we did back, I believe, at the Cancer new moon and the Aquarius full moon. Go look them up. Bagua, just Google it in our search our materials for that. So yeah, so those are different versions of angel altars that you can create. It can also be something super simple. If you live in a small space or you share space with other people, it can be anything that you can dedicate, any space that you can dedicate to being a sacred space. So a few years ago when I first started creating an angel altar, I had like a lazy Susan in my kitchen, on my kitchen table, and I would do my angel cards on there or my activation cards. Some people call them tarot cards. And I would choose a card, I would put it on there. I'd have fresh flowers, and sometimes I would have like a splash of water, because they say it's good to have like a splash of water on your angel altar. I've got all this in the ritual, but I'm just giving you examples. It can be big and ornate, or it can be like really small. It's just a really intentional space that you keep clean energetically, and you kind of tend to it just like you would tend to a garden. You can put pictures of your loved ones in spirit. I've got my grandpa over there with my crystals, and I've got my grandmother-in-law up here. So you can put loved ones around in that space, or sacred images, sacred texts, or figures that you hold in reverence. So I hope that you have a beautiful and carefully crafted angel altar. And if you are new to this practice, send me a picture of it. I'd love to see it on Instagram. You can tag me at Autumn Seibel or at Golden Otter Divinations so I can see, or you can send it through any one of the private messages. And I hope you have a beautiful full moon. Okay, with love and light, Autumn.